Okay, I have both of my RD scores positioned to where I think they should cut to cut off my excess liner, so when we pull our waste metrics, the width of our sheet will be the correct size. Now what I'm going to do is put the press in idle, and as it slowly runs, I'm going to position these knives to where they cut only through the liner. Clear? Now in order to do that, your RD Scores has two adjustments, one that locks it down here and one that controls the depth of your blade here. While it's running, I'm going to put pressure on the blade just enough to make it cut all the way through. While it's cutting through, I'm going to gently back off. When it's not cutting through the face stock and the liner, I know it's only cutting through the liner, so I know it's positioned right. Do the second blade the same way. I'll check my cut. When it's cutting all the way through, I'll just slowly back off till it's only cutting my liner. You can see I have both my blades positioned where it only cuts through the back of the liner and not through the face stock. So they should be positioned to where when I pull my waste metrics, the excess liner on each end pulls up with the waste. Come up here. Pull my ladder. Now you can see on this side, I'm unable to pull my liner, so that is a result of the blades not cutting deep enough. What I'm going to do is reach back under this forward blade, just put a tad of pressure on it, come back up here, and in the jog position, I'll pull my waste. And when my adjustment reaches here, I should be able to snap it and pull both layers of stock. Now I'm ready to pull my strip out away. So with pressure pulling it away from the web, set my waste captain on about 8 pounds. My waste wind up about 8 pounds. That's a good starting position on both. Come around my waste captain, which does the pulling itself. Come up to the waste wind up, which actually rolls the wasted product up. Tape it to the cores on the waste mandrel, put it in the idle position, see how my stripping and die cutting is doing. You can see where may have stripping problems here. It's a true sign that we probably need to go up on our pressures on the die. So I'm going up to about 450 on each side. Then I'm going to idle it back down and check my cut. Clean off all my waste. Back in the idle position, I've repositioned the pressure on my die. Give it a minute to run down. You can see how it helps. Pressure on the die helps cut deeper and pulls the waste between them. Okay, I just moved my stock over to the operator side about 1/8 of an inch, which should equal out the pressures on both of this side. Die cut seems to be cutting properly. As you can see, everything's stripping out. Everything's cutting properly. Just went up to 500 pounds of pressure on the die because of this middle not stripping out. Okay, I'm putting the press back in jog and I'm watching my waste metrics pull up. As you can see, it's pulling everything between labels. I have a good die cut. At this point, I'm going to stop the press. I'm going to break my waste metrics. I'm going to tape it back to the web. Now, the reason I tape this back through is so as we send the web through, we do not have this to lift up and get on any of the idle rollers or the nip roller. If it's flipped, raw adhesive is standing up. As soon as it goes up underneath one of these rollers, the raw adhesive will grab a hold of it. It'll wrap our roller. You're talking about 5, 10, 15 minutes cleanup time getting all that stuff off the rollers, depending on how fast you're going, how big of a mess it makes. So at this time, I'm going to take some tape. I'm going to tape it down. I'm making sure no adhesive is exposed, preventing the problem of wrapping the rollers. Put it back in idle. Clear. Run it through the press. And at this point, I am ready to go to my third die station. Okay, what we have here is the sheeter die that goes in the last station. As you can see, it's a two-bladed die, removable, two-bladed removable blade die. This is a 94 tooth, which gives us 11 3/4 inch repeat with one blade in. In the die itself, we have one blade taken out. We've left one blade in, which will give us a repeat of 11 3/4 inches as we sheet it, which also matches the 94 tooth die on the undercut and the overcut. If you notice, I have foamed my die. The reason I've done this is because the sheeter station comes after the nip roller on the rewind end of the press. A lot of times when you do not foam your die, after the nip roller, your web has a tendency to buckle. If it does buckle before it goes through the sheeter, it could make your sheeted product either long. If it makes it long, it means the one behind it is short. So to keep the consistent length, we put foam on our dies, which as the paper goes underneath, it will grip the paper, keep a pull on it, and keep the consistent cut of what your repeat is. This one being a 94 tooth would be an 11 3/4 inch repeat. Okay, you can see I have the washers on the gear side used as a spacer to line up my drive gear, which is on the anvil roll in the sheeter station. 4 washers on this side allows this gear to fall directly in line with the drive gear underneath it. Putting on a square block on this end. On the operator's side, you can see I still have my turn block, but I also have an adjustment to where I can use to move the die side to side. It's probably be mostly used in a top cut situation instead of a sheeter situation, but we're using these blocks in our sheeters to help on the third station. Going to go ahead and put this in the sheeter station itself. Okay. Raising it so my blade doesn't bump. Trying to line up my track with my oil holes up. Able to lay it in the press. I'm able to make sure this gear lines up and both my bearers are riding correctly on the anvil roll. Once we have that position, take my turn block, making sure the hole is up. Making sure I lubricate both sides of the die. Last block put in, and it's a turn block. Once we put it in, it allows us to have side-to-side movement. You can see how I can dial my die side to side. Have lined up, the gears lined up and the bearers lined up, so now I'm going to come over and lock it down. That should assure my side-to-side movement with everything being lined up. Assist roll, the bearer assembly, we want to make sure it's not riding on the gears. Got the gear side on the right side. The bearings are in line with the bearers on the die. Everything's good and snug. Put on the bridge plate. Slide it in. Lock down the screws. We'll bring each one of them down to where it's just touching. Before I lock everything in place, I'm going to follow my die cut down. Going to idle the press, pull the label off and let it work its way down. You can see here where my label started cutting, the beginning of the rectangle. That's where I want to position my sheeter blade. Find my sheeter blade, raise it up, and just turn my die until I get my sheeter blade in position. Should be somewhere in there. Now we're ready to start setting up our conveyor. We have our undercut, our overcut, and our sheeter station set up. We're putting the conveyor on. If you notice, we'll lay it on the bar. We'll slide it right in. And I'll try to position my pin in place. Should slide right in. All my drive gears in place. Tap your pin straight in. Have two hookups on the conveyor. Air hookup and an electrical hookup.